fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. Eat the cat, eat the cat, eat the cat, eat the cat.
Seeing red, so don't push me. Ain't Donald Trump trying to grab him by the... Said it was some Haitians, somewhere out in Springfield. Women doing cartwheels.
Have you seen Garfield?
Eat the cat.
Have you seen Snowball? This about to snowball. I'm about to go off. I can't let this go on. Miss me like an airball. Tell me when my cat is coughing up like a hairball.
Eat the cat.
I gotta tell them if they even put the fingernail on Santa's little helper to turn them to hamburger helper. Somebody better help them, cause I'm going to jail for showing them fellas helter skelter.
Eating the dog.
Usually I'm content, but if you touch my dog, then I'm turning into John Wick. I'm lit. Bird better drop it. If you touch my pet, then I'm pulling up like CrossFit.
They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. Eat the cat, eat the cat, eat the cat, eat the cat.
It's a shame, it's a pity. Gone overseas where they said Hello Kitty, but it ain't there, it's right here in your city. When I turn my back, now the cat goes missing and where my peoples is at. Does anybody know where he took with that? Cause I heard they putting claws on felines, I'm mad. And my cat disappeared just like Felix the cat. And they the cat got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat.
The cat.
Got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat.
They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. Eat the cat,
Drop that cat.
Backside, the cat peeling with the cast iron. Better run for it. Run before I catch you. Pick it out, ball it, block. Try out my so like don't be ready. My you do best not to test. Red all in my blood supply. Take it ball up top and make a play. I cast a lob like I'm Jalen, baby. No co-sign and no co-pilot. They pen pals, my flow designer. My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission is a dollar sign. If I say it twice and I meant it right.
My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission is a dollar sign. You know co-sign and no co-pilot. They peptides, my flow designer. My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission is a dollar sign.
Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right, so shout out to everyone who is in the building early. It's good to see each and every one of you. If you can hear me okay and everything looks and sounds good, please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you cannot hear me or things are looking and sounding bad, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to shout out everybody who is in the building early, all right? Shout out to Karen. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Make sure y'all do that. Make sure y'all do exactly what she's saying right there. Shout out to Katsy. Shout out to my man Cameron Jones. Good to see you, bro. Shout out to my man Black Free Thinker. What's good with you? Shout out to my man AB Promotions. Make sure y'all show AB Promotions some love for the lunch and for the off-rip ducats. Definitely appreciate you, bro. Shout out to... That's it. Anybody who hasn't said anything, shout out to y'all, man. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully everybody is doing good. We got a lot of things to talk about. I'm gonna try to get this out the way. If I'm not able to get everything done, we're gonna try to run it back tomorrow. All right. So, order of operations. We about to hit the title first. All right. Bitcoin financial order. What does the Bitcoin financial order mean? The world, corporations, countries are moving in a direction where Bitcoin is the base layer of the structure of the financial system. Is this a true statement? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Concerns, right? Massive amounts of companies are starting this quote unquote idea of treasurization, creating these treasuries, right, of particular cryptocurrencies. You got Bitcoin treasuries being the most popular. You got Ethereum treasuries starting to pop up. You got Solana treasuries. You got XRP treasuries starting to pop up. Now, treasuries are not going to save every business, man. Every business is not going to be MicroStrategies because of the treasury. Now, imagine the bubble that's being formed by institutional FOMO with this treasurization. It is going to create a massive nuclear cryptocurrency bubble. All right. And a lot of cryptocurrencies are not going to survive when this bubble pops. All right. They're not going to survive when the bubble pops. And then we got to talk about dark Bitcoinization, right? Let me ask you guys this question. What was the purpose of Bitcoin? What is the purpose of Bitcoin? Somebody let me know what the purpose of Bitcoin is. Now, if Bitcoin is not used for its intended purpose, what are the effects of Bitcoin not being used for its intended purpose? You guys need to give me some input on that. If we're going to be rich, right, which is the plan, right? Shout out to Katsy, decentralized money. Exactly. Right? A purified financial system that's based on scarcity, right? And it's based on actual resource allocation. Well, what happens when the actual resource allocation is actually not reallocated to the people that it's intended for? What happens when the resource allocation is allocated to the people that Bitcoin was not made for? What happens then? Then you have a situation of dark Bitcoinization and financial purgatory, which sadly is the direction where it seems like we are going. All right. What that means is that you're going to be locked in to being poor, locked in. And the reason why you're going to be locked in is because the financial system is going to be based on actual assets. And if the financial system is based on actual assets and MicroStrategies and BlackRock have them all, well, then the realized value is that you will actually really have nothing and like it. We have to build a financial machine, all right, within the next 5 years. You have to have a financial machine where the machine is providing you the amount of return that's necessary for you to sustain your life. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Tarek. What's good with it, bro? Now, we're going to be following this, right? But the economy is a lot worse than people are leading on to. Yeah, shout out to Black Free Thinker. Right, the Great Reset for you. Right. In Illinois, the unemployment increase is among the largest in the United States. A recent study by Wallet Hub ranked Illinois among the top 10 states with the largest increase in unemployment claims in 1 week. Now, here's my question. As the economy changes, is this situation going to get worse or is this situation going to get better? Here's my question. When the unemployment insurance runs out, where are you going to get your paycheck from? Unemployment claims in Illinois have gone up by 5% in the last week, according to a new study by Wallet Hub. Illinois ranks in the top 10 on Wallet Hub's list of states where unemployment claims are increasing the most based on data from the previous week. Okay. According to the study, which was released Thursday, for every 100,000 people in the workforce in Illinois, there have been 11 unemployment claims filed this past week. Now, if people are unemployed, right? Here's my question for you guys. If people are unemployed and the jobs available are decreasing, how are people going to replace their income? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Facts. Shout out to Cameron. Facts. Universal basic income. This is this idea of universal basic income. Let me ask you guys this question. How many people think that they would live an enjoyable life on some government allocated universal basic income? If you think that you would enjoy life living a life allocated based on universal basic income, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, then give me a thumbs down. This aligns with a national trend reflected in Wallet Hub's study, which showed that unemployment claims had gone up by 3.3% week over week nationwide as of May 26th. Okay. Per Wallet Hub, 7.7 million Americans are unemployed. Right now, we talk in the language of cryptocurrency. So what that means is that in their current state, 7.7 million Americans are not liquid to be able to buy Bitcoin. Right? 7.7 million Americans are not liquid to be able to buy Bitcoin. According to the Illinois WorkNet Center, 10 companies were listed on the Worker Adjustment Retaining Notification Report for closures, layoffs, or possible layoffs. This rounds out to some 1,477 workers in Illinois whose job will be impacted. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What happens next year? What happens the year after that, right? What happens when artificial intelligence starts taking people's jobs, right? What happens then? Wallet Hub study comes amid ongoing reports of sudden closures and job cuts throughout Illinois, okay? On June 2nd, close to 300 people were left unemployed when a meat packing plant in Moments closed abruptly. All right, the meat packing plant closed abruptly. They're trying to get rid of all that evidence for the Diddy trial. They trying to get rid of all that at that meat packing, at that meat packing plant. They trying to get rid of all that evidence because of the Diddy trial. You know what I'm saying? In May, you think that you're safe because you're in healthcare? 8 hospitals in Illinois were deemed at risk of closure, at immediate closure, more than likely because they're not getting Medicaid, Medicare claims, and probably because of the migrant crisis. You know what I'm saying? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Amid proposed cuts, the Center for Healthcare Quality and Payment Reform shared in a study. All right. Here's Wallet Hub's list of the top 10 states in which unemployment claims increased the most since the previous week's study. All right. In Kentucky, 2 people are unemployed per 100,000 residents. You notice 100,000 is per capita, right? District of Columbia, 5 unemployed people per 100,000 residents. North Dakota, 1 unemployed person per 100,000 residents. Minnesota, 3 unemployed people per 100,000 residents. Tennessee, 15 unemployed people per 100,000 residents. Look at Kansas, 22 unemployed people per 100,000 residents. Illinois, 11 unemployed people per 100,000 residents. Oregon, 6 unemployed people per 100,000 residents. New Mexico, 24 unemployed people per 100,000 residents. Nevada, 8 unemployed people per 100,000 residents. Okay. Where are these people going to get their money from? How are these people going to live? That's the question. Shout out to AB Promotions. AB Promotions said, I picked up $150 today. I didn't realize you had to have 0.0005 Bitcoin to stake on crypto.com. Yeah, which is fascinating because that round that comes out to be about what? 0.005 Bitcoin. That's about what? $500. Yeah, they make it tier 2 and cut the rate in half from 2.5 to 1.25 after $450. So you can't even stake at the tier 1 rate with Bitcoin on crypto.com. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't that wild? Isn't that wild? Who heard about the announcement that Procter & Gamble made today? Anybody hear about that? Excuse me. Oh. Look at this. This is what Procter & Gamble have going on. Procter & Gamble to cut 7,000 jobs over 2 years amid quote-unquote consumer uncertainty. What does that mean? These jobs are getting cut everywhere. The only place that you can place your faith in to distribute you money is your staking. And even that's not guaranteed because the computer can change the rate at any time. So people need to have resources. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Okay. Procter & Gamble is planning to eliminate 7,000 non-manufacturing jobs in the next 2 years. The Cincinnati-based company announced on Thursday during an investment conference in Paris and in a June 5th blog. The plan, which begins in July with the new fiscal year, potentially includes unspecified and unidentified brand divestitures, executive told investors, promising more details this summer. All right. So now, they're telling the investors this, right? But when it comes to the investors are the people that are getting the money from the company. These are shareholders, right? So, the one group of shareholders, which is the investors, they're cutting these jobs to add more value to the company, right? But the people that work there who are also shareholders because they have a stake in the company, they're going to get cut. They're going to get cut. You know what I'm saying? We are not announcing specific market or brand exits today, but we plan to have more details in July, said Andre Schulten, P&G's chief financial officer. In doing this, we expect to reduce up to 7,000 non-manufacturing roles. Now, here's my question. Who's going to work those roles? These are jobs that are being eliminated. Consumers face greater uncertainty, right? One of the uncertain things is will consumers continue to be able to afford these products? Let me ask you guys this question. What is your plan to afford gas in the future? That's my question. How are people going to afford gas in the future? What is your plan for that? Somebody let me know. The Post presented highlights from the Deutsche Bank Global Consumer Conference and stated that P&G has seen 6 consecutive years of organic sales growth of 4% or better. Okay. In the Post, the company expressed optimism about growth, but stated it planned to make changes to ensure an even more agile, empowered, and accountable organizational design. What does that mean? What does that translate to? What does that mean? Does anybody know what that means? Roles will be broader, teams will be smaller. And the company said it would leverage digitization and automation. Pause. Right? Will digitization and automation eliminate jobs? It will create small amount of jobs, but eliminate a large amount of jobs. Now, I need to ask you this question. When they say the company will leverage digitization and automation, what does that mean for the company? What does that mean for you? Let me know. Looking ahead, consumers face greater uncertainty. Competition is fierce. The geopolitical environment is unpredictable, the company wrote in the blog. Sounds like BlackRock, doesn't it? If that sounds like BlackRock, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't sound like BlackRock, then let me know what it sounds like. This comes after P&G said that consumers in the US and Europe pulled back on spending in March amid economic uncertainty as President Donald Trump began his trade wars, prompting the company to lower its sales outlook for the year. Okay? The Post said the company expects to reduce up to 7,000 non-manufacturing roles, or approximately 15% of its current non-manufacturing workforce over the next 2 fiscal years. All right. Now, let me ask you this question. If a company as big as Procter & Gamble is doing this, let me ask you this. What do you think smaller companies are doing? What are smaller companies doing, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah. Shout out to Cameron. They sell soap and they sell toothpaste, right? A lot of people not washing up, right? A lot of people not washing up. We got some funky finance up in here. You know what I'm saying? Procter & Gamble is a company similar to Colgate-Palmolive, right? So if this is happening with Procter & Gamble, something similar is probably going on with Colgate-Palmolive. If companies are cutting jobs, where are the replacement jobs coming from? Here's a better question. Are there replacement jobs? Here's another question. How do you expect to get paid? As always, employee separations will be managed with support, respect, and in line with our principles, values, and local laws, like the, at-will law. Specific impacts by region or site are not available at this time. All right. Now, this is happening. It's going to happen even more. We're going to see more of it. My question is, what is people's plan to deal with it? What is people's plan to deal with it? We're going to take a quick look at this. Shout out to my man, Carlton Way. We're going to look at some information about where some money is. Okay. Shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. We're going to look at this because this is an economic indicator. All right. $7.2 trillion cash surge signals economic warning. What economic warning would this signal? Let me know what economic warning this signals. The amount of cash currently sitting on the sidelines has just hit $7.2 trillion. $7.2 trillion sitting on the sidelines. Why is this money sitting on the sidelines? This money is sitting on the sidelines for the exact same reason that Procter & Gamble is eliminating 7,000 jobs. And what is that reason? This represents money stored in money market funds where institutional investors park their cash. Why is cash being parked? Why is cash being parked? Here's a good question. Where are you parking your cash? Yeah, shout out to Katsy. Facts. People are hoarding their money. Why are people hoarding their money? Why? What do these indicators mean? We've seen it jump by $2 trillion within the last 2 years. For comparison, it took 20 years for money market funds to grow by $2 trillion between 1981 and 2001. So investors have been rushing towards cash at a record pace. Now, look at this. Gold, Bitcoin, and people rushing into cash. Shout out to Katsy. Shout out to Katsy. Economic uncertainty. Facts. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. They are anticipating a market crash. Facts. Shout out to Katsy. Don't know if you will have a job tomorrow. Facts. How is my question? How do you hedge against this uncertainty? Yeah. Shout out to AB Promotions. They're hoarding their cash because they anticipate a bust coming soon. Right. Now, here's my question. Shout out to the people in the chat. How do you plan to defend yourself from this situation? This kind of rush towards cash is not reflective of a healthy economy, okay? It may be a symptom of something more worrying happening beneath the surface, okay? The last 3 times we saw such surges in money market fund assets were late 1990s, 2006 to 2007, and then 2019. Each instance was followed by major economic shocks. The dot-com bust in 2000, the housing crash in 2008, and C19 in 2020. This begs the question, is history about to repeat itself? What do you guys think? If you all think that history is about to repeat itself, give me a thumbs up. If you do not think that history is about to repeat itself, give me a thumbs down. What do you think about the articles that we just read? All right. So it says here, most people think investors accumulate cash because they're somehow aware of an underlying economic crisis and are preparing for it. But it's actually because investors flee towards cash that you eventually get an economic crisis. All right. It's actually because investors flee towards cash that you get an economic crisis. Investors allocate capital based on the expected returns from different assets. When they're allocating heavily towards cash, it means cash provides attractive return relative to other investments. And let me ask you guys this. Is there a situation where zero return can be an attractive return? That's my question. That's my question. This means less capital goes towards research and development, infrastructure projects, business expansion, hiring new workers. Well, they're definitely not putting money towards hiring new workers, right? Because we see all of these unemployment situations taking place. We see all of these unemployment situations taking place. Now, this research right here is consistent with the memo that BlackRock and Grayscale put out. Yeah, that's the fact. Shout out to Catsy. That's the point. That's also the idea of a stable coin. Speaking of stable coins, I'm pretty sure everybody is aware Circle had their IPO, right? My question for everybody is, who plans on investing in Circle? If you plan on investing in Circle, throw some money bags in the chat. And I got to agree with Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen says it always repeats itself with these players on the board. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Individual consumers also become less likely to spend and more likely to save money at banks to earn higher interest rates. Now, we know that that's not a good idea to save money at the bank to earn higher interest rates when you could save money in Bitcoin and get average 60% APY, right? So we know that people like us won't be doing that. People like us are also less likely to spend because we're going to be spending money on Bitcoin, right? But this goes hand in hand with those unemployment reports that we just read. Okay? This simple mechanism can completely suffocate the economy. This is why interest rates on cash controlled by the Federal Reserve have such massive impact on economic growth. All right? Now, we're going to talk about symptoms that are already being shown. All right? We're already seeing actual symptoms of this economic suffocation. The index of leading economic indicators has been sharply declining since 2021. The exact moment interest rates on cash rose rapidly from 0% to 5% is when the economy began to suffocate. Okay? The leading economic indicators index includes consumer good orders, manufacturing orders, building permits for housing, average weekly hours worked in manufacturing. Now, those jobs were non-manufacturing jobs that they got rid of at Procter & Gamble, right? On average, since interest rates climb, we've seen all of these metrics declining significantly, Okay. Now we're going to be talking about the S&P 500. Historically, leading economic indicators track U.S. stock market performance pretty accurately. Okay. This time, we've seen a huge divergence between leading indicators reflecting weakness and the stock market surging higher. Okay. This divergence between financial and the real economy is something we've discussed extensively. While the S&P 500 has performed well over the last 4 years, small capitalization companies have been declining overall. Now, what does that mean? Facts. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Zero beats negative returns. Yeah. Facts. Yeah. There it is. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. These institutions are storing billions, though. They'll be good getting millions as interest. Facts. So what that means is that we need to start making sure that we're working towards getting what we would get paid in a paycheck in interest. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. The U.S. small cap index has declined 13% since its 2021 peak, which coincided perfectly with rising cash interest rates. Okay. Small businesses represent the economy's backbone. They make up 43% of the overall GDP and about half of all jobs. This backbone is not very strong right now. It hasn't fully broken, but it's definitely struggling. Okay. Look at this. Now, here we go. Unemployment rate. A complete economic breakdown would mean a recession with rising unemployment. The unemployment rate has been rising over the last year, reflecting underlying economic weakness. If people are not working, they're not generating money to be able to spend and put back into the economy. If they don't have, you have to feed the economy. If there's no money, no food, right, to feed the economy becomes malnutrition and eventually dies. Organ failure in the economy would look like multiple sectors of the economy breaking down. Kidney failure, unemployment. High blood pressure, hyperinflation. Okay? Does that make sense? If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't, give me a thumbs down. But the rise hasn't been aggressive enough to categorize this as full-blown recession like 2020, 2008, or 2001. So what's keeping the economy from falling off a cliff? One of the most influential financial variables over the last 150 years has been keeping the economy from completely cracking. It's uncontrollable, extremely volatile, and most economists completely underestimate its impact: the price of oil. When we put oil prices with the unemployment rate and shift oil forward by 1.5 years, the two lines align almost perfectly. All right. So the unemployment rate and U.S. oil prices. Okay. When oil prices rise, often uncontrollably and unexpectedly, it immediately pressures economic growth and is one of the few variables that can trigger recession by itself. Every spike in unemployment since the 1980s has been preceded by a rise in oil prices. These are indicators that people need to pay very close attention to. These are indicators that people need to pay extreme attention to. In 2022, we had an oil shock, but the economy avoided a recession. Since then, oil prices have been steadily declining, which we believe is a major reason the economy has avoided a recession this entire time. Okay. Now, here's my question. Again, thoughts, right? Because here's the thing. This may seem like an economic crash. This may seem like an issue, right? But what did we say when we were talking about the war in Ukraine? The idea is to come out on the right side of these disasters, right? That's how the rich get rich. The rich get rich by coming out on the right side of these disasters. Okay? So now here's my question. What is everybody's anti-inflation plan? Let me know in the chat. Shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button, do me a favor, take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit the bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. Bitcoin, bulls beware, whales, tariffs, and traps ahead. Bitcoin's road to 120,000 is paved with volatility. Whales are exiting. Trump tariff chaos is capping gains, and macro data could flip momentum in a heartbeat. Kiyosaki, Musk, Cathie Woods all say the same thing. Buy Bitcoin before it's too late. Shout out to my man, John Guillory. What's good with it? What do you guys think about that? Now, let me ask you guys this question. When is it too late to buy Bitcoin? It's too late to buy Bitcoin when you can't buy any Bitcoin. Whatever might create that situation, right? That's when it's too late. So avoid that situation, right? Bitcoin's $120,000 dream faces a tariff ultimatum trap. We understand that this tariff ultimatum trap is simply a delay. It's not the end all be all, right? Bitcoin could explode to $120,000 in June, but only if tariff uncertainty ends. Okay. Tariff saber rattling is the biggest short-term risk to bulls. If policy stays murky, Bitcoin could break below $100,000 again. Let me ask you guys this question. How many people in the chat would be furious if Bitcoin broke below $100,000? If you would be upset, put an angry face in the chat. If you would not be upset and you would buy up as much Bitcoin as you can after it broke below $100,000, throw some money bags in the chat. Fed is waiting on hard data, no rate cuts and tighter conditions, okay? The best case scenario would be if a tariff resolution acts as a green light for Bitcoin to push past $115,000 towards 120K, especially if June job data misses expectations, all right? So, again, we're dealing with the unemployment rates, okay? Now, Cathie Wood, how many people are familiar with Cathie Wood? Cathie Wood is the CEO of ARK Invest. All right. She's a person that is extremely I mean, this woman she might be more bullish on Bitcoin than Michael Saylor. And maybe they might be equally bullish. All right. She is extremely bullish on Bitcoin. Okay. I mean, she most of her predictions about Bitcoin are within the millions of dollars. I haven't really seen her make a prediction about Bitcoin under $1 million in recent times. You know what I'm saying? She's heavily invested. All right. Cathie Wood says this is just the beginning for Bitcoin. ARK Invest CEO Cathie Wood believes Bitcoin is still early in its life cycle, even at six-figure prices. Okay. 95% of Bitcoin is already mined, but 95% of investable capital still remains unexposed. What is this is a very interesting mathematical relationship here. 95% of Bitcoin is already mined. Only 5% of Bitcoin is left. Let's pause on that. 95% of Bitcoin is already mined, but 95% of investable capital remains. That means that 95% of this investable capital has the opportunity to be liquidated into Bitcoin. What will that do to the price? This is where Cathie Woods gets these $1 million numbers. That shout out to this is what we were asking. Shout out to John Guillory. John Guillory says, so when the unemployment rate goes from 25% to 35% because of AI, how will they make their decisions then? Exactly. Weekly Bitcoin issuance, now just 3,150 coins post-halving. Okay. Now, look at this. These two things here. 95% of Bitcoin is already mined. Weekly Bitcoin issuance is now just 3,150 coins post-halving. This is an indication that, for the most part, for all intents and purposes, all of the Bitcoin is already bought. It's already bought. It's already locked in. Because multiple companies are buying 2 and 3 times this amount of Bitcoin every week. And this is all that's being made. Institutions will have to pay up or wait it out to accumulate. Yeah. So if institutions will have to pay up and wait it out to accumulate, what happens to the people who don't have any Satoshis? The individuals. What happens? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. I agree. If you guys agree with Black Free Thinker, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Black Free Thinker says this is why Bitcoin ETFs are being issued. Yeah. Yeah. Here goes ARK Invest's Bitcoin forecast. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Who's buying Bitcoin for the ARK Invest prices? If you're buying Bitcoin for the ARK Invest prices, put the rockets in the chat. If you're not buying Bitcoin for the ARK Invest prices and you're buying Bitcoin for some other reason, let me know in the chat. ARK's new Bitcoin forecast. Base case 1.5 million by 2030. Now, if you're a 10%er, how much cash will a $1.5 million Bitcoin be worth? This is 5 years. Bear case, $300,000. Bull case, $2.4 million. If you're a 10%er, how much money will you have if Bitcoin goes to 2.4 million? Shout out to John Guillory. If you're a 10%er and Bitcoin goes to 1.5 million, you will have $150,000. Which, remember, 0.1 Bitcoin is the new Bitcoin. So at that point, right, in 5 years, 0.1 Bitcoin will have become the new Bitcoin because the old Bitcoin was $100,000. That's 5 years. Let me ask you guys this question. Will you make that much money at your job in 5 years? Let's take a look. Let's take a look here. All right, calculator. Right? So let's say your Bitcoin goes to $150,000. Divided by 5. That's an extra $30,000 a year. If it goes to 1.5 million, that's an extra $30,000 a year on top of your salary. This is one way to protect yourself from inflation, right? So if it goes to the 2.4 million, like Kathy Wood wanted to, right? That's 240,000 divided by 5 years. That'll give you $48,000 a year in income. I saw a video. It's by this guy. I forget how to say his name. And he was talking about how 1/10 of a Bitcoin will buy you 50 years of salary. This is a pretty good way to protect yourself from unemployment, right? Elon Musk's $5 trillion debt warning seen as Bitcoin bull signal, okay? Musk warned about a $5 trillion U.S. debt explosion, and Bitcoiners took it as a soft endorsement. Musk, kill the bill. It's a disgusting abomination. Bitcoin is seen as an exit ramp from fiat chaos. Coinbase CEO, if this continues, Bitcoin will replace the dollar. Now, here's the question. How do we know that that's not the plan? Shout out to John Guillory. You see that? John Guillory said, well, Fidelity said in 2038 is going to 1 billion. At 1 billion, what is 1/10 of a Bitcoin worth? At 1 billion, right? What is 1/10 of a Bitcoin worth? Right? So we got 1 billion, right? $100 million. dollar Satoshi parity. Actually, that's more than dollar Satoshi parity. I think $100 million Bitcoin would be dollar Satoshi parity. So at that point, I believe that would make Satoshi's 1 Satoshi to $10. You know what I'm saying? Bitcoin aims for $115,000. Okay, but here we go talking about the jobs, right? Watch Friday's job report. One of the things that we need to start incorporating into the content is the jobs information. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. When you pay attention to these things, these are the things that tell you where to place your money and how to place your money. These are the roadmaps to survival, right? But they're unappreciated information. We're going to take this information and exploit this information. You know what I'm saying? So now look at these inflows, right? ETF inflows 5.24 billion in May. All right. Strong jobs, delayed rate cuts. Bitcoin pullback to 97,000 or 102,000. Okay. If there's weak jobs, disinflation narrative, bullish breakout. Okay. So what do you guys think? Look at this. Bitcoin whales are cashing out $500 million per hour in profits. Whales are exiting after a decade-long hold. This is wild. Yeah, that's his name. Yeah. Shout out to John Guillory. Rajat Soni. Yeah, he's Canadian, but he's an Indian fella. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he makes really good Bitcoin content. He's a Bitcoin maximist. You know what I'm saying? He's not trying to hear anything about he ain't trying to hear anything about any other coin. You know what I'm saying? But his Bitcoin content is solid, rock solid. You know what I'm saying? But he ain't trying to hear. You start talking about Sui or you start talking about Solana, or he ain't trying to hear none of that. No XRP, he ain't trying to hear none of that. You know what I'm saying? But his Bitcoin content is on point. You know what I'm saying? Kiyosaki says Bitcoin will hit $1 million during a financial collapse. Robert Kiyosaki is back with another big prediction. Bitcoin to $1 million in the face of the biggest financial collapse in history. Bitcoin is a safe haven. We've talked about this multiple times. Gold target $30,000 per ounce. Silver target 3 times from $35. Okay. Says that the Fed and the Treasury are running a criminal enterprise. We've known this for a long time. You know what I'm saying? What are you guys' thoughts on this? Pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, shout out to John. John says facts. Every other coin is a meme coin to him. He really hates XRP. Yeah, he's, you know what I'm saying? Like the modern investor is a semi-Bitcoin maximist. You know what I'm saying? Rajat is a full blown. You know what I'm saying? He's a he's a FBBM. You know what I'm saying? He's a full blown Bitcoin maximus. You know what I'm saying? But like I said though, his Bitcoin content is on point. And I really like his content because he's got the spreadsheet and he breaks down the like mathematical relationship and really gives a very simple, broken down way, not only of accumulating Bitcoin, but making sense of where it's going. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Carlton, man. Make sure y'all throw some flames in the chat for Carlton. Where my man Carlton way at? Carlton threw this in the Discord. Carlton threw the stream on his back today. You know what I'm saying? Carlton threw the stream on his back today. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Carlton for holding us down. We talked about this. They're going to do Bitcoin seizure at some point. That's the only way that the United States is going to get to 1 million Bitcoin. Now, if they do Bitcoin seizure, right, they're still within the Bitcoin Reserve Act because they're not using tax dollars. They're just stealing it from people. They did this with gold. They're going to do it with Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of time. This is one of the reasons why people who have Bitcoin should make sure that they have passports and make sure that they have some arrangements so that they could, leave the country if necessary. You know what I'm saying? Unclaimed Bitcoin in California could be seized, but there's a catch. The California House passed a bill that would let the state seize crypto sitting on exchanges. But advocates say it's actually a good thing. How is it a good thing? You're just going to take somebody's Bitcoin. This is why I take it off the exchange. Let me ask you guys this question. Is you should already have enough, right? You should already have enough evidence of why you should take your crypto off of exchanges. But this right here this is it right here. Shout out to my man, John Guillory. John Guillory said, bro, we have people saying Bitcoin is a scam. And these whales, which are banks and others, make profits of $500 million. So what would that have done to the racial wealth gap? That is always my question, bro. That's always the question. Make sure that is always the question. That is always the question. Shout out to AB. AB said, you can come with me to Ghana. Are you ready, nigga? Are you ready? You know what I'm saying? I'm ready. Let's get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not ready to get knocked out at the BMV, though. I'm ready to go to Ghana, you know what I'm saying? But I ain't ready to get knocked out at the DMV, or, you know what I'm saying, at the BMV, you know what I'm saying, with my hands looking like AI drew them, you know what I'm saying? Oh, man. So, in California, lawmakers advanced on Wednesday AB 1052, a bill that calls for investors' cryptocurrencies to be seized by the state after holders have stopped showing interest in their tokens for at least 3 years. What is defined as showing interest? Because, a lot of people buy and hold. What does this mean? What does this mean? And it's on an exchange, in a wallet. So you buy and hold your crypto, which is the idea. Now, why are they not doing this with 401ks? If you don't take a loan out, there's no activity in your 401k, we'll just get rid of it. Shout out to Katsy. Katsy said, ooh, Elon just dropped the effing bomb on Trump. He said that Trump is in the Epstein file. So is Elon. What is he talking about? So is Elon. Elon is too. You know what I'm saying? You got pictures of Elon with Ghislaine Maxwell. You know what I'm saying? Epstein was down there at Mar-a-Lago, right? But I'm not trying to be funny, man, but I think you could find evidence of a lot of people with quote unquote Epstein. Elon is just having a temper tantrum. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? I think what it was Elon Musk, he tried to do the thing where you play it close. He tried to do the Starscream Megatron thing with Trump. You know what I'm saying? He tried to play it close, and then when he thought that it was a vulnerable moment, you know what I'm saying, he decided to strike because he's a snake. You know what I'm saying? And then now we got a snake fight. We got two snakes fighting each other. Shout out to Maine. Yo, real quick, shout out to everybody, man. I appreciate y'all being here. Shout out to Detroit 313. What's good with you, bro? If y'all ain't hit the like button yet, do me a favor, take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. All right? This law is nonsense. This is BS. What if you're staking and you don't touch your cryptocurrency because it's staking? California Gavin Newsom, I'll take that. That what you got for me on the 50 cent, moving like 50. You know what I'm saying? That what you got for me? That Bitcoin look nice. Is that what you got for me? That Ethereum nice. That's what you got for me? I like the XRP. That's what you got for me? I like what's in your Ledger wallet. You got for me, right? California out here moving like the C unit, man, trying to take your crypto. The draft legislation will now go on the California Senate, where it could be modified further. Get out of California. Passing of the bill in the assembly generated impassioned discussions on X, but experts and advocates argued that critics' fears are largely overblown. I don't think so. Anytime you come up with any type of law that says it's legal for the government to just take something, people should be concerned. You know what I'm saying? You know, people should be concerned. That's concerning. California lawmakers passed a bill through the House on Tuesday that would require the state to seize quote unquote unclaimed consumer cryptocurrency holdings from exchanges after 3 years of inactivity due to not showing interest in their holdings. That's the interest in the holdings is that it's there. Now, when you sign up for an exchange, you sign up, you give them your social security number, you give them your address, you give them your phone number, you get all this stuff, right? California is doing this so that they can direct exchanges to take your cryptocurrency. This is nonsense. When this law comes out, if this becomes a law, people need to really be buying wallets and getting their money off of exchanges and putting it in the wallet. Because this is ridiculous. This should not be a thing. You know what I'm saying? But while the bill has already stoked crypto investor jitters and led to pushback across social media, there may be a reason to breathe a sigh of relief. I don't know what that might be. Proponents of the bill says that it look at this. Proponents of the bill says that it allows for unclaimed Bitcoin and other digital assets to not be liquidated by the state, but rather held by a custodian for customers to reclaim later. So there's no risk that an investor's tokens could be sold at a loss without their consent. Well, then why do anything? Why create a department that does this and waste all that money forming a department that does this when you're not doing it to liquidate? This is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Dennis Porter, CEO and founder of the Bitcoin lobbying group Satoshi Action Fund, put it this way to Decrypt. When asked about his thoughts on the social media blowback, we helped write the bill. So obviously we know we are right. And randoms on Twitter who don't understand policy are wrong. That's interesting. So the person who's a founder of the Bitcoin lobbying group, Satoshi Action Fund, helped write this? Yeah, he definitely wants some more Satoshis. Now that's interesting. He's definitely not advocating for the crypto community. Under Assembly Bill 1052, which aims to broadly regulate digital asset payments and crypto business activities in California, cryptocurrency holders must perform an act of ownership interest at least once every 3 years to prevent their tokens from becoming the state's property. That is insane. What is that? What does this constitute? Those acts would include conducting transactions involving their digital asset accounts or at least electronically accessing their accounts, among other qualifying actions. Why don't they? Now, this is interesting. They don't notice how they don't do this with bank accounts. How many people have noticed they don't do this with bank accounts? They're creating, this is almost like the equivalent of crypto squatter rights. The draft legislation passed the House 78, and it passed 78-0 on Tuesday, according to the California State Assembly's website. It will now go to the California Senate, where it could be modified, rejected, or passed without changes. We should look into this a little bit more. This is ridiculous. If you're in California, get out of California. Get out of California. You know what I'm saying? The draft legislation, if signed into law, would make crypto, look at this, would make cryptocurrency subject to the unclaimed property law, the same rules that govern ownership transfers of traditional assets, such as bank accounts and safe deposit box holdings. So they just take your stuff. It's a possibility that has divided some members of the crypto community. Some critics bash the bill, arguing that it largely violates the privacy-focused cyberpunk ethos that underscores the Bitcoin movement. That interpretation has fueled a growing array of posts from Bitcoiners advocating for self-custody assets rather than relying on exchanges. I agree. That's always true. Cryptocurrency people, true Bitcoiners, have always advocated for self-custody. However, supporters of the bill, which I don't know who would support this bill, have suggested concerns are largely overblown. The only reason why people would support this bill is if they're people that lost out and are late on cryptocurrency, right? They're late and they want to steal some crypto real quick. Now look at Eric Peterson. He quoted simply Bitcoin. Quote tweeted. And it is true. Not your keys, not your coins. That is true. You know what I'm saying? Panic over whether California officials could permanently seize one's Bitcoin under the terms of the recently passed bills are incredibly incorrect. Eric Peterson said Wednesday in an X post. Peterson, a policy director at Satoshi Action Fund, previously championed an early version of the bill. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. This is bad business right here. It doesn't matter what action fund he's a part of. Shout out to William. What's good with you, bro? So Eric Peterson says this is incredibly incorrect. What it does is update the unclaimed property laws. So when your Bitcoin is turned over as unclaimed property from an exchange, it stays in the form of Bitcoin rather than being liquidated. It's going to stay in the form of Bitcoin. What are they talking about? You can then get it back from California in Bitcoin. Let's listen to this. Let me see. Hold on real quick. Real quick, shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. All right, let's listen to this.
File item 186, AB 1052 by Assemblymember Valencia. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1052 by Assemblymember Valencia, an act relating to digital assets.
Assemblymember Valencia, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, muy buenas tardes, members. AB 1052 will establish a legal framework to legitimize digital assets, also known as cryptocurrency and blockchain, and unclaimed property law. California must protect.
He said blockchain. Did you hear him? He said blockchain.
Also known as cryptocurrency and blockchain.
What the hell is blockchain?
File item 186, AB 1052 by Assemblymember Valencia. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1052 by Assemblymember Valencia, an act relating to digital assets.
Assemblymember Valencia, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, muy buenas tardes, members. AB 1052 will establish a legal framework to legitimize digital assets, also known as cryptocurrency and blockchain, and unclaimed property law. California must protect consumer assets and embrace the legal recognition of digital assets, crypto and blockchain, as we continue to modernize our economy and the systems in our society. With that, I respectfully ask for a yes vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Valencia. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote.
Look at the A votes. Look at that.
Members vote who desire to vote.
This is
Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 69, no 0. The measure passes.
That's ridiculous. Hey, how many people think that that's ridiculous? That's ridiculous. California is cooked. You know what I'm saying? Sheesh. California is cooked, man. So yeah, it says when your Bitcoin is turned over as unclaimed property from an exchange, it stays in the form of Bitcoin rather than being liquidated, Peterson says in a post. You can then get it back from California in Bitcoin. Why take it in the first place? Crypto-focused lawyer Haley Lennon doubled down on the point in her own X post on Wednesday, saying that the type is law is common. Most states have unclaimed property laws that exchanges comply with, Lennon says. It's returned to the owner when the owner reaches out to the state. Okay, there's a difference between, this isn't an unclaimed ownership law, though. If it's on an exchange, it's claimed already. If it's on an exchange, it's associated with an account. It's already claimed. This is a crypto forfeiture law being masked as a unclaimed property law. If there's indicators of ownership, the property is already claimed. Would you guys agree? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Peterson suggested that since seized Bitcoin could appreciate in value over time, consumers who reclaim their assets would benefit from those gains rather than receive the US dollar value of the assets from the time of liquidation. This shouldn't even be a question. If you steal a car, you in theory should get the car back. You know what I'm saying? Like this isn't exchange. We're talking about property and assets. Of course, the opposite is also true. Crypto assets could also fall in value while in custody of the state, which is not very likely. We have crypto that's been in custody of the United States. Has the value increased or has the value decreased? I mean, these are questions that we have answers to. You know what I'm saying? What's ultimately key is that consumers' assets remain intact, even if the state holds them. Listen, this is nonsense. This is what they do. This is them saying, we're the government, we care about you. No, we're the government, we're trying to stick our tentacles into your assets. And it's gonna be made to appear like we care about what you're doing. This is BS. You know what I'm saying? In a subsequent X thread, Peterson further clarified the matter. No one touches your keys or your wallet, he wrote. AB 1052 says, hold them as they are. This is a lie, and this dude shouldn't be part of anything with the name Satoshi on it. Sitting up there talking about no one to. What are you talking about? Everyone touches your keys if your money is on an exchange. Listen, do you guys remember when I lost that Polygon and it took me forever to get it back from crypto.com and Coinbase? You guys remember that? The reason why I was able to get it back is because they can access your wallet. They have your keys. They were able to find my Polygon and put it back into my wallet. You know what I'm saying? That's what happened. Now, we've been hearing talk about this $120,000 Bitcoin. We know it's coming, but we don't know when it's coming. Let me ask you guys this question. When is it coming? When will we see $120,000 Bitcoin? $120,000 Bitcoin is simply a 20% jump from the current price. Would you guys, if you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Despite the fact that that's great and that's nice, it's not really that impressive. Right? It's not really that impressive. You know what I'm saying? Bitcoin eyes 120,000 price zone as exchange flows and leverage surge. Okay. Bitcoin's next test may occur at the $120,000 zone, provided investor demand can absorb risking profit-taking measures. Okay. Now, they said that whales have been liquidating. If whales are liquidating, that more than likely means as a result of those liquidations, there's probably going to be a price pullback because it has that has to happen. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what the price peak is that people are liquidating at, but if there's a liquidation signal at where we are now between 105,000 and 106,000, I wouldn't be surprised if we went back down for a little bit to around 100,000 or 95,000. Then once we go from 100,000 to 95,000, if it can stay between those ranges, that is when I believe it'll go up to 200 or it'll go up to 120,000 because it's got to blow off that steam from the liquidations. The pressure has got to be depressurized and then contract again. You know what I'm saying? Bitcoin's on-chain activity has intensified as the asset consolidates near 108,000, with 120,000 emerging as the next major price zone of interest. Okay. Glassnode's May 28 report highlighted elevated investor profitability, rising accumulation, and robust exchange flows. These conditions resemble past bull market peaks. Okay. Bitcoin hit a new all-time high of 111,000 before pulling back to 107,000. It has since stabilized just above that level. Accumulation has surged. All right. So again, let me ask you guys this question. When people say, quote unquote, accumulation has surged, what does that mean? Accumulation has surged. Accumulation is surging. What does that mean? That means something, right? What that means is that there's a lot of people buying Bitcoin and not a lot of Bitcoin is being sold. That's what that means. Yeah. If you guys would agree with Katsy, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree with Katsy, give me a thumbs down. People are buying. Yeah. And they're not selling. Okay. Accumulation has surged, with Glassnode's accumulation trend score nearing its maximum value of 1.0, suggesting investors are aggressively adding to positions during this price discovery phase. The market observed similar behavior at the $70,000 and $107,000 highs in 2024. Investor profitability is also heating up. The relative unrealized profit metric has reached a level historically associated with euphoric market conditions. What does this mean? This is extremely important because all speculation aside, this is probably the major factor that would cause any type of downward price action. People selling off profits, ETF liquidations, different things like that. Okay. Investor profitability is heating up. Are people going to take profits? The relative unrealized profit metric has reached a level historically associated with euphoric market conditions. The report noted that only 16% of trading days see profits at this level. The spent output profit ratio now indicates that the average coin moved on chain has captured a 16% gain, ranking among the top 8% of all days historically. Most Bitcoin has at the very least received a 16% gain. That's extremely impressive. That's extremely impressive. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. That's extremely impressive. Exchange behavior confirms the trend, with roughly 33% of all Bitcoin volume now flowing through centralized exchanges, up from earlier in the year. Okay. The average profit on coins deposited into exchanges is $9,300, while the average loss is just $780, resulting in a 12-to-1 profit to loss ratio that mirrors prior bull cycles. Now, why is that important? Going back to the unemployment uncertainty, how do you plan to hedge against the loss of a paycheck? How do you plan to hedge against shrinking job market? Leverage is also building. Futures open interest has climbed from 36.8 billion to 55.6 billion since April, while options open interest surged to an all-time high of 46.2 billion, up 25.8 billion. Spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds continue to draw inflows above $300 million daily, providing additional buy-side momentum. $300 million daily. That's a lot of money. Technically, Bitcoin trades well above the 111-day moving average at $91,800, the 200-day moving average at $94,300, and the short-term holder cost basis at $95,900, reinforcing bullish momentum. Okay. On-chain pricing models place key resistance between $120,300 and $135,700. Historically, this range has encompassed only 17.5% of Bitcoin's trading history, often serving as the upper limit during periods of euphoria. Okay. The report concluded that the market is heating up, but has not yet reached exhaustion. If momentum continues, the next test may occur at the 120,000 zone, provided investor demand can absorb risking profit-taking measures. Okay. What do you guys think? So again, right, when they talk about these profit-taking measures, right, risking these profit-taking measures, this is what I'm saying is more than likely if there does become a pullback, that's what's going to cause the pullback. It's not going to be because of any failure on Bitcoin's part. It's going to be because people are taking profits. Okay. It's going to be because people are taking profits. So we're looking at the $120,000 level for right now. We're halfway through the year. Okay. We're halfway through the year. Now look at this. Bitcoin scarcity may spark explosive surge. Bank study shows. Definitely got to look at that. Right? Definitely got to look at that. Bitcoin is always in a state of being scarce. Right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Bitcoin has scarcity built into its design. Right? So these are just things that we understand. This is one of the reasons why it's so important to constantly accumulate. Bitcoin price eyes new gains. Is the next leg higher starting? All right, so let's take a look. We'll see. Now, check this again, right? We have to ask this question because, listen, the difficulty adjustment is universal. You guys understand this, right? I need to ask you this question. What is difficulty adjustment? See, I see people at work, they play these games on their cell phones all the time. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the little games, just flicking, drawing lines and doing different things. And then I get on my phone and I'm doing things. And they're like, well, what are you doing? I'm playing a cell phone. I'm playing a game on my cell phone. What's the game called? Well, the game is called Get Rich. That's the game. That's what it's called. And I play it every day, you know what I'm saying, on Coinbase and crypto.com. And the points are money. You know what I'm saying? I don't play Candy Crush and stuff like that anymore. You know what I'm saying? So we got to ask this question. Difficulty adjustment. What is it? difficulty adjustment means a change in the algorithm that makes producing a Bitcoin more difficult. Why is that significant? Because there's a multifaceted cascade of how that changes the price. Proof of work, if it takes more work, it's worth more. More work requires more money. More work requires more energy. You have all these factors. So what that means is that when there's a difficulty adjustment in producing Bitcoin, when Michael Saylor says getting Bitcoin will be exponentially more difficult, it's not just because of market conditions. That's built in. It automatically gets more difficult. So in your Bitcoin accumulation strategy, you have to have a built-in mechanism of adjusting with the difficulty. Dollar cost averaging sounds good, right? Dollar cost averaging sounds good. But does dollar cost averaging compensate for a difficulty adjustment? Let me know in the chat if it does. Shout out to AB. AB said, ooh, Rob said, mofos out here playing Candy Crush. Yeah, they be playing Candy Crush. You know, I play Crypto Crush. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Aristopat. What's good with you, bro? I play Crypto Crush. You know what I'm saying? People will look, you know, they walk past, look at your phone. Oh, that's how many points you got? No, that's how many tokens I got. You know what I'm saying? I'm playing a different game than you are. You know what I'm saying? I'm playing a different game than you are. I'm playing the game so that the next time I play the game, I'm not at work playing the game. You know what I'm saying? That's what everybody should be doing if you ask me. Okay? That's what everybody should be doing if you ask me. All right? Bitcoin started a fresh decline below the $106,500 zone. The price is trading above 105,000 and the 100 hourly simple moving average. There is a connecting bearish trend line forming with resistance at $105,550 on the hourly chart of the Bitcoin US dollar pair. The pair could see a fresh increase if it clears the 106,000 resistance zone, which I believe there was a point today where we cleared 106,000. Shout out to Katsy. Katsy says, no, the harder it is to obtain something, the more expensive it is to acquire and becomes more desirable. It also becomes more difficult to keep it because more people are interested in it, and you have people that want to get it from you, whether through legitimate means or illegitimate means, right? People want to get it from you through legitimate or through illegitimate means. So now, in theory, a difficulty adjustment would automatically make Bitcoin more expensive. It'll make it more rare. It'll make it more expensive. It costs more to produce it. More energy is required. There's not a difficulty adjustment with gold. The only difficulty adjustment with gold, you know, is if the price increases. There's a multi-dimensional difficulty adjustment that leads to price changes with Bitcoin. Right. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker said dollar cost averaging will likely be fine. Just understand that the same amount of US dollars will purchase less. Now, this is why I'm saying this. Imagine if you want to maintain purchasing the same amount of Bitcoin. I have a, and this is what I believe. I believe people should change their goal to, I'm not going to spend a particular dollar amount. Right? I'm going to buy a fixed amount of Bitcoin. So this goes back to the type 1, 2, and 3 Kardashev civilization. Energy required to mine Satoshis in the distant future is going to take planetary and solar levels of energy for processing strength, right? the difficulty adjustment must be made at a human level as well. So if you make it a fixed amount, I want to buy 0.001 Bitcoin at all times. What that means is that you have to be adjusting your difficulty constantly. You have to be constantly increasing your ability to generate revenue so you can keep up with how much 0.001 Bitcoin costs. Because when 0.001 Bitcoin, when 0.01 Bitcoin costs $1,000 right now, 0.01 Bitcoin to cost $10,000 in the future, you need to still be able to buy 0.01 Bitcoin. So how do you adjust? You get more certificates. You get another skill. You get a side hustle. You invest in other things and flip that money back to Bitcoin. You stay on that 0.01. Dollar cost averaging is linear. We know that Bitcoin is exponential. Linear will never keep up with exponential. So you have to create exponential methods to be able to keep pace. Get an AI certificate. Get a network certificate. Start a small business. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker says, if the jumps usually go by 20%, then raise your dollar cost average by 25%. You'll likely be fine. Right. And I agree. But here's my question. If you're budgeting, right? Say, for instance, you're budgeting based on your existing income structure. Is it a guarantee that you will be able to raise your dollar cost average? That's the question. In most cases, people budget what they can afford. So to adjust for the difficulty, you have to make it so that you're constantly in a state of being able to afford more, not based on Bitcoin. If you see what I'm saying? Now, I don't disagree, right? I don't disagree that you'll likely be fine, right? But I do believe that you'll be better if you keep pace with a fixed Bitcoin goal rather than a fixed dollar goal. And that's exactly what you have to adjust the difficulty. Exactly. So let's do it like this. Let's say, for instance, you watching this live stream and you happen to be working at a hospital. All right. You work at a hospital and you're a housekeeper, right? You clean up the rooms and stuff like that. All right. You buy $10 of Bitcoin. Okay. You need to adjust your difficulty. So then say, for instance, you take a class at the hospital and you become a phlebotomist. Now you can buy $100 of Bitcoin. But guess what? $10 when you were sweeping the floor was let's just use arbitrary numbers, a tenth of a Bitcoin. Now $100 is a tenth of a Bitcoin while you're a phlebotomist. Okay, got to adjust your difficulty. Okay, now you become a nurse. So now you buy $1,000 of Bitcoin every paycheck. Well, guess what? $1,000 of Bitcoin is still the 0.01 Bitcoin that you were buying, still 0.01. But the difficulty of Bitcoin has adjusted. You've adjusted your difficulty in being able to buy it. Okay. Now you get a bachelor's degree in nursing. Okay. Now you're buying $1,500 in Bitcoin every month. That $1,500 is still the same fixed amount of Bitcoin. You made a difficulty adjustment. So you have to constantly adjust your difficulty, and it pushes you, right? It pushes you to a more competitive state. People should want to do this. I want to stay pace with being able to buy the same amount of Bitcoin. How do I do that? I have to improve my skill set. I have to become more marketable. I have to think outside the box to make more money. I have to drive myself to be an optimal human being. Imagine if way back in 2008, people said, I want to make it so that I can buy one Bitcoin all the time. Okay, you buy one Bitcoin with $1. Now you buy one Bitcoin with $10. Now you buy one Bitcoin with $100. Now you buy one Bitcoin with $1,000. Okay, I gotta do something now. I got to buy a business or something because I got to be able to keep pace with buying a Bitcoin. My salary ain't going to cut it. You know, this is costing me $10,000. Now it's $100,000. Okay, my business has to buy me a Bitcoin. Better expand your business because when Bitcoin becomes $1 million, you got to adjust. You have to adjust. It's machine learning. Bitcoin, machine learns value from the economy. In order to keep pace with that, people have to machine learn how to add value to society to be able to buy more Bitcoin. The same way that the computer system has to efficiently add energy to be able to continue to produce Bitcoin. This should drive people to be more optimal. Maximize your ability. You pick a target, stay on the target, hit the bullseye. No excuses, right? This is what people have to do. You know what I'm saying? This is how people make themselves great. You upgrade yourself. You create difficulty adjustments. Things that I couldn't do 2 years from now, guess what? I can do those things now. And those things now will buy me more Bitcoin. I'll be able to provide more for my family. The idea of a Bitcoin difficulty adjustment should not just be, I'll just keep putting in $100. No. If you believe in Bitcoin, you should have been stopped worrying about dollars and said, I'm going to buy a fixed amount of Bitcoin. And you have to understand, I'm buying this fixed amount of Bitcoin. This fixed amount of Bitcoin is going to appreciate forever, which means that I have to improve forever until I'm dead. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. So now here it says Bitcoin price started a fresh decline and traded below the $106,500 support zone. Bitcoin even traded below the $105,500 level and tested the next support at $103,200. A low was formed at $103,200, and the price is now consolidating losses. There was a move above 104,200 level and the 23.6 Fibonacci retracement level of the recent decline from 110,500, swing high to the $103,200 low. Now, this is what's fascinating, right? I want to ask you guys this question. Since Bitcoin has gone over $100,000, does anybody even notice like the small shifts of when it goes from like, you know, down to like 103, then to go back to 106? Does anybody even notice that? Or like, are you just impressed with your portfolio at Bitcoin at $100,000? That's my question. Let me know what you guys think. Shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all have not smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. Now, here's another question. People may say, well, how do I do difficulty adjustments? Okay, well, in most cases, you can do difficulty adjustments at your job. Your job will pay you money. Your job will pay you overtime. Your job will pay you to improve your skill set, right? They have tuition reimbursement and different type of programs. Take advantage of all of that. It doesn't matter if you want to continue to work at your job or not. Somebody else will pay you to do it. Get difficulty adjustments, get capability upgrades for free, and then get paid by them. You know what I'm saying? Bitcoin is now trading above 105,000 and the 100 hourly simple moving average. On the upside, immediate resistance is near the 105,550 level. There is also a key bearish trend line forming with resistance at $105,550 on the hourly chart of the Bitcoin US dollar pair. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How many people have heard the theory that in 5 years, you'll be able to retire on 1/10 of a Bitcoin? If you've heard this, give me a thumbs up. If you have not heard this, give me a thumbs down. In 5 years, you'll be able to retire on 1/10 of a Bitcoin. What that tells me right? And we said this, is that we need to be working towards getting 21% of a Bitcoin. Okay. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Oh, it's at 101,000. Hey, what do you do at 101,000? Buy all the way down to 10,000, right? Shout out to William. William said he never heard it. How many? I want to ask you guys this question. How many people have heard you can retire on 0.1 Bitcoin in 10 to 15 years, or actually between 5 and 15 years? If you've heard that, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't, give me a thumbs down. Well, didn't we talked about this yesterday, didn't we? Didn't I tell you XRP got the dumb bull, and it runs the opposite direction. Anytime it's a bull run for XRP, it's a bull run down. It runs down the hill. Shout out to AB. AB says I have. Yeah, it's a lot of information out there. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think Kathy Woods and Fidelity both said that you can retire on 0.1 Bitcoin, and these are investment companies. Let's see. Let's see. thecryptobasic.com. Oh, this is interesting. They're actually using Rajat. So he actually has a YouTube channel. But I'm gonna put this article in the chat. And I think that there was a article from Benzinga that said that too. All right. There we go. All right. So now here it says the first key resistance is near the 106. Now let's talk about this, right? Before we go any further. We've done this before. We'll probably get around to it and end up having to do it again, right? Dollar amount. What is the dollar amount that's recommended? Nah, not at the current price. No. Not at the current price. Future price of a tenth of a Bitcoin. Future price of a tenth of a Bitcoin. The tenth of a Bitcoin is going to stay stable, but that $10,000 is going to increase. That $10,000 is going to increase to $1 million. So now here it says the first key resistance is near the $106,000 level. The next key resistance could be $106,800. It is close to the 50% Fibonacci retracement level of the recent decline from 110,500 swing high to the $103,200 low. Okay. A close above $106,800 resistance might send the price further higher. In the stated case, the price could raise and test the 108,000 resistance level. Any more gains might send the price towards the $110,000 level. Speaking of 100,000s, right? Speaking of the 100,000 level, we talked about this in the Discord briefly. I just want to put it out there, right? ZBEC network. Are we putting that coin in the 100,000 token club or no? If that's in the 100,000 token club, give me a thumbs up. If it's not in the 100,000 token club, give me a thumbs down. I think we should throw it in the 100,000 token club. ZBEC network. Let me know what you guys think. If Bitcoin fails to rise above the $106,000 resistance zone, it could start another decline. Immediate support is near the $105,000 level. The first major support is near the $104,000 level. The next support is now near the $103,200 zone. Any more losses might send the price toward $102,500 support in the near term. The main support sits at $101,200, below which Bitcoin might gain bearish momentum. Now, let me ask you guys this question. When Bitcoin gains bearish momentum, that's when we get bull buying momentum, right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. That's where we buy at, right? We buy when everyone else is bear, right? Speaking of bear, right? There's a major Bitcoin price drop alert. Discount coming, right? Shout out to Carlton. We got Bitcoin for sale. Right? Shout out to Carlton. We got Bitcoin for sale. Now, this is more along the scenario that I predicted, right? But again, this is just going to be temporary, right? And this will probably come from selling off profits, sudden sell-off of profits. You know what I'm saying? Now, see, now again, here goes Bitcoin price crash to $100,000. Imagine a price crash to $100,000. But anyway, major Bitcoin price drop to crash to 98,000 to fuel altcoin buying opportunity. So we need to be making sure that we can scoop up as much Bitcoin as we can if it does hit this $98,000 level. All right. We will go over this tomorrow. All right. Because I got to go. I have stuff I got to do. All right. So shout out to everybody, man. I appreciate you guys for coming through. All right. If you're not part of the Discord, make sure you take a moment, hit that Discord. If you're not subscribed to the channel, wherever you watch it from, make sure you take a moment, subscribe, hit that bell icon twice, smash the like button. Shout out to my man, AB Promotions. I definitely appreciate it. Please make sure y'all show him some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for my man, AB Promotions, for feeding the liquidity. I definitely appreciate it. We're going to try to do the same thing tomorrow, and we're going to talk about this buying opportunity at $98,000. We're going to further talk about this treasurization, nuclear bubble, and dark bitcoinization. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,
yeah, hey, okay, I'm fresh up out the package. Sign my deal, I pay my dues, affiliated to this paper. I need freedom for my family line. Draw my life design up like fine art. I'm jumping off just an unfamiliar coordinates. Hopped off the porch like I could touch the sky. Red, it's not one trillion. The ism talk the water out your faucet. Look at me flossing, I'm so wavy, I could change the tide. My intuition sense the hatred in your ways. You imitated, forging lines, claim meaning means that's just to justify. Yeah, right. West side boy, maritime. Creole baby, my bloodline. My lungs clouded, my thoughts crowded. Say all I see is these dollar signs. Finna make a play and that sound delay. On mamas, I testify. Run for it, run for it, run. I might just paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I might just paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I might just paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I might just paper chasing, looking for the funds. You ain't recognized game. I'm from the Bay, okay, I'm versatile and my slang was different. I'm lane switching with the same people that I came up in this thing with. My head swivel, I'm homebound, got a target back on my backside. The cat peeling with the cast iron, better run for it, run before I catch you. Niggas out ball it, block it, trying to stop my blessing. Gamble with your life, don't bet it, don't bet it. They can't stop my blessing. You do best not to test it. Yeah, you right. Real all in my blood supply. Dig ball up top, finna make a play. I cast a lob like I'm Jalen, baby. No co-signer, no co-pilot. They pen pals, my flow designer. My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission is a dollar sign. If I say it twice and I meant it right.
My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission is a dollar sign. You know, co-signer, no co-pilot. They pen pals, my flow designer. My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission is a dollar sign.
Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds.